Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this quarter's Alliance Forum meeting for Q4, the end of 2021. My name's Mike Turpin from the UK BIM Alliance Communities Leadership Team, and I'm going to be your chair for the meeting today. So thank you for joining us virtually. We've got a packed agenda which we'll run through shortly, but first we'll just jump into a little bit of housekeeping on the GoToWebinar for anyone who's not used this before. So just to say on the GoToWebinar interface here, you're all in listen only mode. If you have any questions throughout the session today, please ask them using the questions box. You can type your questions in on the side of the screen there. Please avoid using the raise hand option for questions kind of during the presentations. Say if you could please type in, and then we can answer those during the Q&A session at the end of today's agenda. And also just to let you know that we are recording the session today, and we plan to make this available via the UK BIM Alliance YouTube account as soon as we can shortly after this meeting. Okay, so on to today's agenda for the session. So today we're going to be running through kind of a few updates really from the past year on the what the UK BIM Alliance has been up to, kind of initially focused around what's happened in terms of the engagement activities, what's been happening in the communities with the BIM 4s and the BIM regions, and then also going through some of the projects that have come out of the implementation team over the past year. Pam Vandal's going to kick us off with a little bit of an update around some of that engagement work and the some of the background activities of the UK BIM Alliance over the last 12 months. I'm then going to take you through some of the work of the communities and implementation team before handing over to Casey Rutland, who's going to give you a bit of an update on the buildingSMART UK and Ireland chapter and what they've been working through. As I said, please type questions as we go through the session, and then you can see after case sessions we're going to have a Q&A session, so any questions you've got about anything UK BIM Alliance related over the last 12 months, we'll try and answer those before we hand back to Casey Rutland for the final words, kind of wrap up in a brief kind of summary of the year for you there. So that's our agenda for today. So with great pleasure, I will now hand over to Pam, who's going to take you through the UK BIM Alliance Part 1 update.
Morning all, and thanks, Mike. I've got 4 elements I'm going to cover. It won't take me long, and like Mike says, please do ask questions through GoToWebinar if you do have any going forward, and we'll take it from there. So the first thing I just want to highlight to you all is the State of the Nation survey. So in January of this year, we published the survey and it ran until mid-March. That is the plan again for 2022. So it will be published in January. We're just finalising the last couple of additional questions that we've got and we're going to include, and then hopefully get it out middle of January at the latest. So yeah, watch out for that one, get involved and help us with some of the questions to that as well. So that's the State of the Nation survey. We then have patrons. So normally I do an update on which patrons are new, who's come on, who's leaving, everything else. This time around, all I want to do is list everybody involved on one slide, because we normally have a few slides. And what I actually want to do is just say a big thank you to them. We've worked really hard with all of them. They've also worked really hard in getting things out the door for the Alliance and have got involved in many different ways. So a huge thank you from the Alliance to the patrons who have supported us so we can do all of what you're going to hear about next, and for the rest of the call from an Alliance point of view. So huge thank you for that. Events this year has been a difficult year because we've had some live events, we've had lots of virtual events. As far as the Alliance is concerned, we use GoToWebinar to host our virtual events, and we've put on 38, including today, throughout the year. Now, these 38 aren't all events that we as the leadership team have put on. These events include a number of the community groups events. So a number of the BIM4s have put on events, and a number of the regional groups have, and Mike will talk you through that in a little while. But what I wanted to share was the numbers. So we've had over 250,000 registrations to these events, with around about a 50% dropout, which is normal for events as well. What I will say, and being honest with you all, is the number of people who attend events has dropped considerably from the start of the year towards the end of the year. And I think that's just because there's a lot of events going on virtually. Sometimes you get fed up of sat in front of a screen listening to someone else talk, and you want to be there in person. Yeah, so we're looking at a new way of possibly new ideas on how we do events going forward. There could be a blend of in-person and virtual. They could continue, and probably will continue for now, as virtual events until we have more clarity around the situation as well. Just to highlight some of the events we've done. So we've obviously done 4 Alliance forums. The community's leadership team have organised 3 events this year focused around facilities and asset management. Was I want to say the beginning Q1 of this year. We then did a whole day around the infrastructure side of the business, and then we focused on manufacturing, but the manufacturing event was part of UK Construction Week, which I'll come to in a moment. As mentioned, we've had a number of community group events and organised through the regional groups, and we'll come on to that at the moment. We were involved in the CETA BIM gathering with both a keynote and a seminar program as well, which was it was good to see CETA back, but it was virtual. This one was all virtual, but it was good to be involved in that. As mentioned, UK Construction Week was a first for the Alliance in that we were physically there. It was our first in-person event. We had both a UK BIM Alliance stand, and we were the content partner for the Digital Construction Hub, which was next to the stand. We had some fantastic presentations throughout the 3 days, and a lot of conversations with people who were unaware of the Alliance and people who wanted to get involved in the Alliance as well. So some really, really good questions around UK Construction Week, which was a good event for the Alliance. We delivered a keynote as part of the Digital Construction Summit, and that was on the 19th and 20th of October. We got involved there. Again, London Build, we weren't there with the physical presence. We were there delivering a keynote. Paul Wilkinson delivered that one to kick off London Build from a digital construction side perspective as well. So we had a keynote there. And then obviously a couple of weeks back, yeah, it has been a couple of weeks, DCW took place, of which we were content partners for both the BIM Village, the BIM workshops, and we as the Alliance had a stand. And then we were also involved under the UK BIM framework hat as well. So those are the main or the bigger events, I suppose, this year that took place. There are a number of other events that took place in that we took part and delivered presentations for events for some of our affiliates and other conferences as well. So there were a lot of other events. I've just highlighted the ones that I was involved in, and the bigger ones, I suppose, more than any. So looking ahead to next year, we haven't finalised the events programme as yet. That's something we'll do early in January, but there are a lot of events that I know are already taking place. And I think the first one, if I look at my calendar, I've got events that start on the 26th of January, for example. Whether we're there or not, it's a different conversation, but it's just to make people aware. I've got events that start on the 26th of January in London, but yeah, we've got a lot of events taking place next year. One I wanted to make you guys aware of, if you haven't already heard of, is this particular event. It's the Eco Classroom. And this is something that Alison Watson from Class of Your Own and John Enan worked on together. And in celebration of John, what Alison has done is switched it around. And it's rather than the students take part in this day's worth of classroom training, it's going to be the professionals. So we've switched it around. It'll be professionals putting together teams that consist of an architect, surveyor, engineer, sustainability officer, someone around landscape architecture, and on the business side, we're looking at a marketing manager and a company director. So it'll be groups of these people together working on a project throughout the day, and they will be assessed and marked by the students. It would be fantastic to get you guys involved in this. It was announced and shared at Digital Construction Week. Alison tells me that she needs more people. We don't have enough people. So if you as an individual would like to get involved, brilliant. If you as part of a company would like to put a company or a group together, that's just as good as well. So it would be really, really good to have you involved and get your support on this. Please do share this with your contacts, talk about it. It has been on social media and it will continue to be on social media. Bearing in mind this event is on the 17th of January. So it'd be really good to have more sign-ups between now and before we finish for Christmas to support this particular event. You can see the email address there. It's events at Class of Your Own. Just drop them an email, or if you know Alison, give her a call and get involved as part of that. Okay, let me touch on the affiliates program. So we now have 22 affiliates officially signed up to the program, with the newest ones, or the latest one, being iConstruct, which you can see on the bottom left there. And what you will also hopefully notice is the team has expanded, and it has. The team has expanded because these are a lot of organisations and we've got more that we're talking to at the moment. So joining John, Gary, Steve, Andrew, Nick, and the other Gary are Colin Bell, Ruth Ramsden, James Smith, and Sarah Keat. So it's now a bigger team, and this team will, I suppose, with it coming to the end of the year, we'll be in touch with the affiliates that they're going to be managing from January onwards. But yeah, there's a lot of work to be done within this group. There's with each individual organisation, we want to work with them directly, but also have the affiliates working together as well to push out white papers, to push out events, to push out workshops as well. And we want to be able to support them, and we need a bigger team to do that. So this is the bigger team. So from me, a huge welcome to our new counterparts, and you will see them going forward. My last slide before I hand back to Mike is that I personally have been involved in the Alliance for a number of years. I can't actually remember how many years, but a long time. And I have seen people come and go, get involved, do projects. Once the project's finished, go off and do something else and then come back. I personally wanted to say a huge thank you to everybody who has got involved in the Alliance over the last few years. I particularly do want to highlight our communities leadership team, who've done a grand job, as our affiliates leadership team, along with our ambassadors as well. But to everybody, from our patrons to our supporters, a huge big thank you from me as well. And with that, Mike, I'm handing over to you.
Many thanks, Pam. So I will share across my screen. Okay, hopefully you can see that come across on the screen now. So many thanks, Pam, for that update. A huge amount there to kind of take in and hear about. Fantastic, obviously, considering all of those events, not just the 38 kind of events that kind of consisted of virtual stuff at the start of the year, but kind of great to see, obviously, some of the stuff like the DCW and stuff. And again, kind of echo Pam's words on the thank you, and obviously across to yourself there, Pam, as well, in terms of the huge amount you've obviously done over the last 12 months. So thank you for that. So I'm going to give you the update now on part 2 of the BIM Alliance, looking at some of the work that's been coming out from the communities team and the implementation teams. So looking at the communities, first of all, we're going to look at the kind of BIM regions. Obviously, been a difficult year. Whilst we have done a lot of events, obviously some of these BIM regions have struggled to get events, obviously relying on some stuff in person, still trying to do obviously the majority of this in a virtual way, and trying to drive attendance and get events organised, obviously with all the day-to-day pressures considered in there as well. But regardless of that, huge thanks to many of these groups, in particular the UK BIM Alliance East, Kent, South, Yorkshire and Humber, and Wales group, obviously for doing many very good events over the course of 2021. And say kind of both virtually and some of those in-person events as well. Obviously, a huge amount of work goes into the communities and the BIM regions, and really relies on contributions from everyone involved. So I know obviously a lot of you kind of joining us today are involved in some way or another with the communities and with the BIM regions. For anyone who's not, always welcome more contributions. And we'll be looking, obviously, going into 2022 now at ways we can kind of adapt and change what's going on with the BIM regions, hopefully for everyone to get more out of them. As you'll know, obviously, with kind of what we're doing, as Pam said, trying to continue kind of what we're doing in terms of virtual events, but trying to change that up and look at different ways of delivering content. And obviously, hopefully, as we're moving into 2022, things easier, we can run some of those more in-person events. So we're always looking for more volunteers, and whether that's to help kind of organise and run events across the region, or whether that's just people who've got something interesting to come and talk about, please get in contact either directly with the community's leadership team or the individual BIM regions themselves. Volunteer, kind of anything you've got to present, and the more we can kind of put together, the more we can share out there to the kind of wider audience. And really that's what we're about here, is trying to take the BIM message, all the great work that's being done across the industry, and share that out with as many people as we can. So kind of everyone's support and help in their networks and groups to share that out is much appreciated. Another part I'd touch on here, the communities, is another kind of great initiative you've seen bits and pieces from over the year, is the Back to BIM Basics, the series of kind of video content, which will be landing with you shortly as well. So I'd say keep an eye out for that. And again, a lot of great work, excited to kind of see coming out from that when that gets published soon. So moving forwards, we're also looking at the BIM 4 groups. And again, lots of great stuff that's come out of the BIM 4s over the last 12 months, specifically the list on the left here of some of the most active BIM 4s we've had delivering content kind of over this year. And that's a kind of variety of content, really. So we've had a lot of content in terms of delivery of subject-specific presentations. So again, kind of in partnership with the regions, in partnership with some of the events that Pam mentioned earlier. It was great to see experts from some of these BIM 4 groups come and present what their BIM 4 group's doing, or what that specific sector of the industry's been working on, or potentially in some of the challenges that those BIM 4s have faced and those sectors faced in relation to BIM. So that's been fantastic. So again, lots of great speakers. We've also seen some of these publish and present guidance documentation. So specifically there, we've had the BIM for Health and Safety providing some guidance documentation of the use of BIM around health and safety, which has been very useful to see coming out. And other content, a special kind of mention here as well, is the BIM for Housing Associations, which have produced some learning and guidance materials, and specifically a toolkit. If you go to the BIM for Housing Associations website, you can find a toolkit there, which has got lots of documentation and guidance, I say, on good ways of approaching BIM delivery in the housing association world, which has been fantastic. And lastly, I'll say on here as well, obviously the purpose of the BIM fours and some of the great work they've been delivering is the input into published work, the input into some of the things like the ISO development and the UK BIM framework. So again, great to see from that perspective as well. So that's a kind of quick update of the communities and the work that's been going on there. Next, we're going to touch on the implementation team and just some of the highlights again of the various projects that have been going on recently. So you can see obviously a big tick list here of many of the projects, and this is just, as I say, the kind of highlights of what's been going on here, but some specifics that we'd like to cover. The first one's the Women in BIM group. There was a survey and questionnaire which is now closed, but lots of great responses had to that, looking at kind of the way different roles in organisations have implemented BIM, and there's some of that data being analysed at the moment, and no doubt some kind of feedback and guidance and information to be published on the back of that coming out. The 4D construction group have published a maturity matrix looking at the use of 4D, and you can check that out. Very interesting read if you can go to the 4D construction website, which is 4d.construction. You can go to their resources page and find that maturity matrix on there. A big one that's been worked on is around the Golden Thread initiative. So there's been an initiative where the implementation team have partnered to work on the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government sponsored Golden Thread initiative. And really this project is kind of built and intended to look at a prototype of standardized digital golden thread. It's to produce information requirements and process maps for building safety information, and also to produce a report that we published for industry detailing all of the Golden Thread initiative's work, all of that kind of learning information that comes out of this. And really the core outcome of this is looking at kind of understanding the knowledge and insight into what's achievable around the Golden Thread. It'll be looking at kind of the challenges that had to be overcome and what real kind of different sectors need to think about in order to prepare what they're doing to be compliant, meet any kind of future potential legislation around the Golden Thread. So as I mentioned, they'll produce a report out of that, and the report's going to be published to the industry, detailing all of the Golden Thread initiative work to really kind of share a lot of these lessons learned, and also a way to provide feedback on the current information management standards and provide guidance on how to best to implement the Golden Thread initiative when looking at specifically high-risk residential buildings. So lots of interesting stuff to come out of that. Next on the list, we've got obviously a lot of the work that's been going on over the last 12 months around the UK BIM framework. Again, I'd say if you haven't recently, go back to the UK BIM framework website, check out all the updates on there, all the documentation guidance, lots of great work and a huge amount of effort that's gone into that. So obviously some of the stuff with the latest updates to ISO 19650, updates to the National Annex, and other content that's put on there, and specifically to stress about the availability of the information management protocol, which is there to support the delivery phase of projects. And also we've got the newly released information protocol to support the operational phase of assets as well. Again, so 2 great documents, lots of work has gone into those. So please go to the UK BIM framework website, download those and check those out. Obviously there's the publication of ISO 19650 Part 3 to support the operational phase. Again, great work that's gone into that. I mentioned earlier the BIM for housing associations and their BIM toolkit, which again has been a kind of supported by the implementation team as one of their projects. And again, lots of useful information there if you're involved in housing association projects. And then looking forward a little bit, we've also got potential projects. So as hopefully you're aware, the implementation team take projects from industry and any recommendations. If you've got ideas for projects which you think are needed, you can get in touch with the implementation team to suggest those. And one of these potential projects is the IFC project, which is a new proposal that's been received to explore the development of guidance and knowledge sharing around the topic of IFC. So that's one of the potential projects for next year. And on top of all of this, obviously, is the continued support and development of the various relevant standards. And this is obviously an ongoing piece of work, but standards that are currently being worked on include BS 8644 Part 1, which is the digital management of fire safety. So obviously a very important standard considering recent developments. And also BS 8536, which is the design, manufacture and construction for operability. So again, lots more work going on there. And hopefully in the new year, we'll be able to share more updates of the progress on some of those. So again, a lot of content there, a lot to take in for you. As you see, kind of it's been another great year for some of the developments from the implementation team. So with that, I will hand over stage and hand over screen to Casey, who's going to give you a run through the buildingSMART UK and Ireland update.
Thanks, Mike. Hopefully you can see my screen and the slide deck. But thank you everyone for joining us for the last forum event of this year. Just one slide, just a quick update as to what's been going on within buildingSMART UK and Ireland. With quite a lot being going on, we just do need to wrap up this year and then set our targets for next year. We almost have the web pages ready to publish. As always, these things change quite quickly. We do have lots of content to put up on the website, old content and some new content, especially linking with lots of new initiatives that have been published recently by government and other organisations. We mentioned last time, but we do have 2 of our committee members, Phil Jackson and Marek Sokowski, who've been voted into the International Infrastructure Steering Committee. And that really does put us in a strong position when it comes to working with buildingSMART International on projects that relate to infrastructure and linear assets, being really quite influential in the publication of IFC 4.3 in relation to the linear aspects of things. So if that is out there and available for beta testing or for testing and comment, so if anyone does have any comments or anything like that, then feedback to either Phil, Marek or myself, and we can feed that back up to International. All 12 of our committee members were involved earlier this year in judging the 2021 buildingSMART International Awards. There are 160 judges around the world. The winners were announced back in September, but now only recently, I think it was last week, the PDFs, the videos and the submissions for the winners alongside all the finalists are now available on the buildingSMART International website. If you go to the awards tab and hit the winners, you'll see all the content there. quite regularly we are asked as buildingSMART, as the Alliance, for case studies to show that certain things have been done. And it's a huge resource. I think they've got 3 years now worth of winners and finalists of really good case studies, which were competition entries of things that are using IFC open BIM processes to deliver results and benefits to clients and design teams all the way through the life cycle. So there's some really good results and case studies on there if you need them. As I said, feedback is open for IFC 4.3 infrastructure extension for roads, bridges, ports and waterways. So please comment if you need to, or if you have any. As far as the professional certification scheme, a huge amount of work by Phil and the team, the extended wider UK BIM Alliance team. The modules, module 6 has now been approved after 2 rounds of revisions at buildingSMART International. So they've been approved. That body of knowledge, as it's called, those packs are now being sent to the first tranche of training providers. So if there are any training providers who've signed the NDA in the first tranche and sent it back, you'll be getting your body of knowledge packs before the end of this week. Last week we held an end of year review with the committee and determined that there's much more that can be done in relation to outreach. There's quite a lot of work going on in the background relating to technical, the IFC standard, the extensions, the P-Cert scheme. But in terms of outreach to the industry, there's much more that we can do. So that's our focus of 2022. There's some exciting plans underway in terms of how we communicate, how we reach out, how we get to the people that are using IFC and open BIM processes out in the industry. And that's going to be via the BIM regions groups, BIM 4 groups, via any discussion forums that we can influence, and as well as making use of the affiliate scheme that the UK BIM Alliance has to reach many more people. That's in short a very quick update about what Bazooki has been up to in the last quarter, and we'll be in the early part of next year giving you an update and a plan as to what we aim to do in terms of events and meeting with various different individuals with opinions and needs from the industry to continue serving you guys as we need to. So with that, I'll hand back to Mike.
Thanks, Casey. Share my screen back. Okay, fantastic. So on to questions and answers. I've just been having a look down here on the side. So if you do have any questions, please chuck them into the questions box. We can try answer those. So one that we've got come up, is there any way to set up email notifications of events as they are added and confirmed to the website? I keep forgetting to check the website and miss lots of them. So I will direct that hopefully to Pam. I don't know if you're aware of any options on that one.
Thanks, Mike. At the moment, I'm going to say no. So if there's a new event that we're doing, it will be publicised or talked about through social media. So if you're on Twitter or LinkedIn, you can actually set both of those up to get notifications of new posts. So that's probably the easiest way. Once a quarter, we send out a newsletter, and that will highlight some of the upcoming events for that next quarter. Again, you would sign up via the event website, and you'll get that automatic email will come out every quarter around that. But other than looking at social media or contacting people directly, that is the only way we do the events at the moment. Off the top of my head, I don't think there's there isn't a way at the moment. If we post something new on the website, that you get an automatic notification, but that doesn't stop us looking into that going forward. So that's something we can definitely look at early next year, see if there is a way of doing that one. Yeah, I can't add any more to that.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, Pam. And yeah, as I said, great question, and see something we can look at going forward if that's of interest. And that's currently all we've got in terms of the Q&A. So I think if we don't have any other questions coming through, and I will pause for a few seconds if anyone's frantically typing their last questions, but I'm guessing not. So with that, I will then very quickly and swiftly hand back to Casey for the final words for today's session.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, so yeah, it's been a busy year, and another year that's really proven that that basically the UK BIM Alliance really are a resilient team of enthusiastic individuals who crack on with it. And obviously we're doing this forum without Anne, as she's taken some time off to recover from being ill. But we are still all active. We're still all active. We're still passionate about what we do, and we're still very much able to deliver all of the things we've been asked to deliver. And now's the time when we have been, and I'll talk about it a little bit in a while, but we've been taking a little bit of time to reflect on what we've been doing, what we've achieved, and what the plans are for the next year. And more specifically about the longevity of the UK BIM Alliance and how we can make that much more resilient. People, Pam's mentioned people earlier, people, patrons, supporters, all the people that we've had help and assistance from over the years. And again, I can only echo exactly what Pam has said. The UK BIM Alliance is made of people, the majority of whom offer their time and knowledge and experience pro bono. And we do that in order to help other people in the industry along to develop, to mature in their understanding of information management, and see how they can change their businesses, their way of their life, and understand how it makes a difference to them personally in their work. We have had a few people from the UK BIM Alliance exec team leave us. Sean Farrell, Andy Bootle have left us for various different reasons, but we wish them all the best in what they're doing. On the flip side of that, we've had people join us. So Pam has mentioned earlier the extension of the affiliates team. She's also been interviewing people to help with the core engagement team with the work that she's doing. Fiona Moore and Richard Waterhouse have joined the exec team to give more of a steering. We've taken on Lucy for the financials and Diana to help with the admin to boost and bolster the back of house team and support Stephen in the work that he does. Paul is looking at taking on a co-chair to help with the technology group. So we are really becoming much stronger in what we're doing. Whilst we're on the topic of people, we have an amazing group of ambassadors, some of whom have been recognised and awarded with accolades for their achievements. David Churcher with an MBE, Mark Enzer for an OBE, Marzia with a long list of awards. So I am now giving the award for the person with the most awards in 1 year. Young Engineer of the Year Awards, the Sir George McFarlane Medal, named one of the UK's top inspiring 50 tech leaders by the Financial Times. Alumna of the Year Award for international and national success in the innovation sector, and other awards. So it's been a really quite a good year for a lot of our ambassadors and people that have joined and supported us. And then of course we've got Anne herself, who's completed her coast to coast walk, having been interrupted by the original pandemic lockdown, but she managed to complete that this year. So we're all very proud of her. I believe the donation site is still open if you do need to donate some money for that. In terms of projects, Mike has given a good review of the projects that have been undertaken. We've published further guidance. We've been delivering work packages in combination with CDBB. Lots of work is happening in the background on other projects that aren't quite ready to go live and public yet, but we are still continuing. So this is really a call to say to people that if you do want to get involved, please just get in touch. The UK BIM Alliance is made up of industry practitioners with real world challenges and problems, and that's how we build the community, that's how we build the exec team, that's how we retain being fresh and applicable to the industry. Pam's had a super effort in continuing these virtual events. And yes, whilst the audience numbers have dwindled throughout the year as people become a little bit fatigued with virtual sessions and webinars, it is still key to what we do. And I think we have changed our approach to that and our opinions of doing those things. It does make us more accessible to a lot of people around the country and indeed around the world. But we do really need to make sure that we boost that and increase the audience numbers to make sure that we're getting the messages out there, specifically about certain events that are happening. As Pam mentioned, in the latter quarter of the year, we exhibited and were present and presented at numerous in-person events. which I think we're all probably more busy than we were expecting in terms of in-person events, but we were quite glad to see that, as long as people are staying healthy and being careful. We're seeing continuous and increased engagement from patrons who are essential to the operation of the UK BIM Alliance, and as always, we're super thankful for their support. In looking ahead, as I mentioned earlier, both the non-exec directors, alongside Richard and Fiona and myself, we've been working hard in the past few months on developing a strategy for the future of the UK BIM Alliance. We're now at the stage where we're assigning requirements in terms of resources and people, recruitment, in order to sign off the strategy and move on to the next stage, which is sharing it with the wider exec and ultimately to the industry to say this is what we are intending to do, with the emphasis on continuing to serve you guys, the industry. But not only that, to meet the current digital transformation needs here and now, with always one eye on the future about how we're going to achieve that, hopefully with your help. We're also in the final stages of widening and strengthening the UK BIM framework to better reflect the publication of recent documents, such as the Transforming Infrastructure Performance Roadmap, the revised information management mandate. So we will be announcing news as part of the UK BIM framework as to how that will be set up in the future. Obviously, UK BIM Alliance will still be involved. So with that concluded, the final words is to say that obviously, alongside wishing Anne a swift recovery, that we hope that you all have a good festive break, enjoy yourselves, relax, stay fresh, healthy, and we'll see you again next year. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Casey, for your words there. So that just leaves us in the final wrap-ups, and this slide, which we have to show here again, as you've heard, obviously part of Casey's kind of final words there. The UK BIM Alliance is about you, it's about everyone, it's about getting involved. We need to kind of spread the message of this. Always welcome volunteers, and that's whether you're able to volunteer time or even kind of thoughts, ideas, comments, suggestions, ideas for projects, etc. It all relies on obviously feedback from the industry. So you've got a lot of ways here to get in touch with us and get in contact, whether you're using Slack, Twitter, email, web post, pigeons. Please let us know any of your thoughts, ideas, or if you've got availability to help and support some of the initiatives that we've been through today going into 2022. And with that, I will close today's session and say thank you all for joining. Hope you've got something out of it. You've seen again the huge amount of great work that's been going on over this year. Obviously, a lot to take in there, lots of bullet points, lots of discussion points, and kind of please keep an eye on the UK BIM website. Any kind of events and updates going forward into 2022. So please check out some of the updates to the UK BIM framework, etc. And we'll say have a good Christmas, have a safe Christmas, Happy New Year, and we will see you back in the new year for the next BIM forum meeting. Thank you very much.